Greetings once again. Crazy Bill here. Today I wanted to discuss my problems with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan in the 80s was a phenomenal entertainer. I was never a big fan of Hulk Hogan. I was more of a fan of Ted DiBiase, the Macho Man, Ric Flair, the bad guys. Hulk Hogan, he wasn't really a wrestler. He was an entertainer. He never really had any moves. He had an atomic drop, a bear hug, and he did his hulking up, where he finger pointed, and he shook his head, and he shook his fists in his hands real fast, like he had fucking Tourette's. That's what Hulk Hogan did. He wasn't much of a wrestler, but he could take some bumps, and he was like a superhero, and that was just, I didn't care for it. That's what Hulk Hogan did most of the 80s, and everyone loved it. He ripped his shirt, and the fans went wild. Me, he was like the Ultimate Warrior. He was just kind of a buffoon. I didn't particularly care for them. I was more of a fan of Axe and Smash, of Demolition, than I was of Hulk Hogan or the Ultimate Warrior. The Ultimate Warrior on the ropes. You know, who cares? You have some face paint and you can go like this. Whoop-de-doo. And you can rip your shirt. So can I. I'm not going to. So Hulk Hogan in the 80s and 90s, Hulkamania was running wild. He had his handlebar mustache and his 24-inch pythons, and he said his prayers and took his vitamins and drank his milk and whatever else he did. And then, so he would Hulk up, and then you'd punch him, and he would just freeze and stare at you. Then he would point his finger, shake his head, and then you were fucked. You were fucked. The fans were going wild. And then he would Hulk. That's hulking up. That's it. You're fucked. That's it. That's the end of you. That's the end of you. Once that happens, just, you might as well tap out. You might as well tap out. I quit. Ring the bell. I'm done. Because then he would start punching, and he would punch, and he would punch, and he would punch. Then he would throw you into the ropes, and then a big boot to the face. But what always amazed me is, no matter how young or old Hogan is, he always had hearing problems. He always had trouble hearing. After the big boot to the face, he would always try to listen to the crowd. He couldn't hear it. No matter how loud the crowd got, he couldn't hear them. And then he would bounce off the ropes for the leg drop. And that was it. 1, 2, 3. You're done. Let's fast forward to some WCW days when Hulkamania came to WCW. Still the same. He didn't have much of a moveset until he joined the NWO. Come to think of it, he didn't have much of a moveset in the NWO. He actually had less of a moveset in the NWO because he didn't really Hulk up in the NWO because he was a bad guy. I still didn't like, I love the NWO, but I still didn't like Hogan in the NWO because he was still just an entertainer. He didn't really entertain me though. He was okay. He was a little better than Hulkamania. He learned how to take some more falls. He learned how to put some other people over. He certainly was no Triple H at putting people over though. That one was for you, Danzig. He just wasn't quite with it. I mean, he's a great entertainer, but he just always has to be in the spotlight, doesn't he? He always has to be the top dog. Well, Hulkamania, he was always in the spotlight. And then he came to WCW and had to be the leader of the NWO. He always had to be in the spotlight. And he was the champion at the NWO for a long time until Goldberg dethroned him in a pretty quick match. But he never had much of a moveset then either. Then he went back to Hulkamania, and it ran wild, and he still had trouble hearing, and he still didn't have much of a moveset. I guess some things don't change. His hair got thinner, his mustache got whiter and thicker, but his moveset still was small. SM all. SM all. Small. So Hogan was still just an entertainer, never really, not really a wrestler. Although I give Hogan respect for what he did. He helped revolutionize the business. I was still never impressed with him. A lot of guys help revolutionize the business. Hogan is on the top of the list, but he's not the only one on the list. He's on the list, but he's not the only one on the list. I'll give him some credit, but to all you naysayers out there who are going to say Hogan revolutionized the business, he's one of them. Don't tell me he's the only one, because I will call you a fucking liar. I will tell you you're a liar if you tell me he's the only one. So then he went back to WWE as the NWO, and that lasted 10 seconds with Hall and Nash, because Hall was an alcoholic and got booted. Nash is Nash. Nash got hurt again. And then Hulkamania came back. And again, he had 4 or 5 moves. Again, he couldn't hear. Again, he would Hulk up. He's hulking up. And then he would point at you. And then you're screwed. That in itself is a submission move. That in itself means you're done. So Hulk Hogan never really, he had always had to be in the spotlight. That's why I'm not a big fan of Hulk Hogan. No matter how old he is and how bad he is, he has to be in the spotlight. Now in TNA, Hulk Hogan has had numerous back surgeries. Hulk Hogan has had numerous back surgeries and can barely walk without the help of his crutches. And he's still in the spotlight. Hulk Hogan can't even walk a straight line down to the ring, and he still puts himself in the spotlight as the leader of They. Bound for Glory came and went 10, 10, 10. They came, and it was Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. Hulk Hogan came as part of They. He could barely walk, and he had to put himself in the spotlight yet again. This time he has absolutely no talent. He has no moves. He can't do anything. And he put himself in the spotlight yet again. One more time. He just can't stay out of it. He just can't pass that torch. He can't give it to somebody else. I don't even like Jeff Hardy that much, but he just can't even pass the torch to Jeff Hardy. He had to come take the spotlight. He has to be right in the middle of it. That is why I can't stand Hulk Hogan. He's got all the fucking money in the world from his illustrious career. So what if his wife has half of it? He still has more than most of us. And he still has to be in the spotlight. He could do wonders for TNA behind the scenes. But no, he's too busy in the spotlight. Screw Hulk Hogan. Screw him until the day he can't walk anymore. Maybe then he'll stay out of the spotlight. Or maybe then he'll just have Brooke Hogan in a bikini wheel him down to the ring so he can be in the spotlight. He'll be in a wheelchair match with Buff Bagwell. That's why I can't stand Hulk Hogan. He always has to be in the spotlight, even if he can't wrestle.